So let me go to the next thing I wanted to show you. This, I call this smart location entry. So I basically copied the form I had showed you, but I added some conditional logic such that I said, okay, everybody has to have one location and an address and one contact person. Do I want to add a second contact person? Contact 2 opens up. Add a third. Now, actually, I needed to do conditional logic not to show the email, telephone, or fax. I see my error here. But add another contact, yes. Actually, I'm going to take that back. In their case, they still only give one email address, but you get different names. I don't really know how that works. And one telephone and one fax number. So that was kind of weird. So I did do that correctly. That's at the bottom, the telephone, fax. So that was conditional logic, and I'll show you how that was done in this form. With conditional logic, you come and say, add a second contact. This one will say, in the advanced area, enable conditional logic here. Oh, goodness, so sorry. If, did I get out of that? It's going to be in here. Next time, a real mouse.
Yeah, sorry, I don't have a mouse for that.
We're using Dave's laptop because mine didn't display very large. Okay, show if all the following. So you can have quite a bit of logic in here. Add a second contact, it actually would say, which was a yes, no. If it's yes, show that field. Otherwise, nothing else. You won't go any further. Again, that would be the same thing for add a third contact. Contact 3. I'm sorry, I'm not even going to try to do that. You get the idea. It's popping all around and getting confusing. So that is how these yeses will open up the field. That can be very nice for your people so that they didn't have to go through stuff that they weren't going to have to enter. And then the last thing I did was take the same entries and do it to a map, but I could not get the map API to work to show the different locations. So we can go over and look at that. But you can see it's pretty nice. Once I said map, everything else just laid out underneath here. I didn't do any of this to get my layouts in handling that. But they'll show you over here. We can go to plugins. I think I'm here. Look at their maps. There's a this looks like, can you see that okay? Series of pictures here to show the map. So you can zoom in, click on it, you get the pop-up box for it. If you have a lot in a location, you'll get this wheel. So if you're looking for all McDonald's in an area, or all, yes, use Google, but it does work with other maps. And I was told to look at Snazzy Maps, which I don't know anything about. So it's a way to create custom maps.
So is that just built from a zip code? That's all they need is a zip code?
It's actual location. So in the form,
in,
right, because I did all my demo today is on corporate locations.
Street address.
But you have to put the full street address.
You know, if it's, I'm gonna bet if they have a Google business page, if you like type cup and saucer, it would probably find this place. right? But if you type McDonald's, it's going to find 70,000 of them. So you have to tell it which one you want.
Okay. Well, I wanted to map
just,
people submitting a form. It's not a business. They would have to submit their whole address. What you're saying.
The whole address for the map to find it. Yeah.
Do you have to use a Google API key, or is it?
Yes, it's a Google API, and I set it up specific to this web address, and maybe because it's not a lot. Well, it is a live site, even though it's a demo site. I don't know.
With the Google Maps API today, it's not straightforward.
And they're going to be
if you don't have you have to have a billing account set up.
Yes.
And you have to have that tied to that property, and you have to make sure you have the right referral API. Actually, if you went into the API right now and took off the referral URL and just let it be wide open to anybody, it would probably work.
Well, I did that first,
but trouble setting it to a specific URL.
I don't know. But they're going to be getting out of. Google is now is going to charge for all these APIs, so some are moving to Bing for it. I know Gravity View is working with Bing now, so that you don't have to have a Google API, because again, you do have to put up a billing piece, and if that credit card becomes expired, even though you're getting no bills on it, your client's going to have to remember to go in and do it. And you certainly don't want to set it up on your own billing. All right, so it's kind of complicated now. So let's look at a building a view.
How does
or looking at.
Gravity View work with APIs? Are they open to that? I know Gravity Forms is, but is Gravity View?
Well, I guess it would be an API. I'm not so sure what APIs.
Well, they're using the Google Maps API right now. How supportive are they of developers creating more extensions?
I don't know.
You mean the Gravity View guy?
The Gravity Views.
You mean having somebody else write a hook to an API that they don't already hook to?
Yeah.
So you're asking for an add-on to an add-on to an add-on.
I guess
CMS.
so. Yeah.
Because I think that you'd be skipping Gravity Views in that case. You just go to Gravity Forms and you use Zapier.
That's true. Yeah.
Because you're going to go right to your data.
Except that they've already built something. Okay.
So yeah,
I'd say. Okay.
Yeah, I would say that. All right. So I was going to show you for a view. If I edit this map, because I chose that it's a map, and like I said, I'll build one and then you'll see that. But because maps is already active here, and my address field is the address. I can choose which icon I want to use, or I can use my own icon that you can update. A street map, or a satellite, or a hybrid map, or a terrain. And then if you don't want those pop-ups, you can turn that off. Get all your map information here. And I think this is where he told me to. This is the group nearby markers together when displaying map beyond a certain zoom level. So that's that wheel that was done there in the example that we had. So let's go ahead and let's do a new view. Here's some of the things that I have listed in there. So I can do I shouldn't say listed, active. These are active. The math ratings, don't really have a reason to do that. But what I want to do? Data tables. Now active, okay. So a new view. The only form I have is office locations. And here's how I'm going to choose what my layout's going to be. while I'm creating the view. You don't see that in the edit, so I don't know if you have to just create a new view, because I didn't see the ability to edit the type of view that I wanted to create. I think this is, we could select this one. Did I select it? And then I would add data, my location, 3 times. How does that happen? And here's a case. If I didn't want to add everything, if I wanted to show just the states, where is that? Publish and view on website. Here we go. So I've got my list. Not sure about location, state, why that's down there. I don't know if I have that in the database. Kind of funny. But I got my list. That's all I had to do. So it's pretty easy. So I think I'll open it. Oh, sorry. I wanted to show you one more thing, like how to how to match the fields. It was in an import, so oh my goodness. This is going to be a funny. I don't want to create a form. I want to show you how to match, like if I were to use import export. I may not be able to do this because I had it on my laptop. Was going to bring in content. So I had exported it. This is to export all my content. So you can see you can get it out of here. Just checking the fields that you want. If I wanted to import, I'd have to have a file that I brought in. I'm sorry, it's on my laptop. But it's what I'll get. I'm going to explain with my hands. Sorry, you won't be able to see this, people who are watching this recording. But on the left side, I'll see all the fields that's in my gravity form, field by field. And on the right side, I'll see all of the field names in my CVS file that I've up, or my my other gravity form file, gravity form set of entries. And you just say location equals location. Street equals street 1. Street equals street 2. Right? Whatever the data is that I've used. That's how you do the handshaking so that the form can be updated now or imported. Now, if you're using MailChimp, you have to create your import fields in MailChimp, and you'll connect to your MailChimp account for a particular form. That will come into your gravity forms right in here, and you'll have to match up. This field goes to this field at MailChimp. This field in gravity forms is this field in MailChimp. And that's how you connect them all. The same thing with a Zapier if you're doing APIs for Zoho. It'll bring in all of those fields because you're going to do a connection between the two. It'll know what those fields are, and you just map those fields together. And then when the submit button is executed, it'll trigger off saving into gravity forms. It'll trigger off the notification that something has been entered, and it'll trigger off the message over to MailChimp to add somebody to your mail list. And that's all happens behind the scenes. That's all taken care of for you. So it's pretty quick to match that up.